is Christina Grimmie's big brother, best friend, and tour manager. Marcus was by her side every step of the way as she skyrocketed to stardom. Then the unthinkable. A gunman opened fire. Marcus tried to save her, but she was gone. Now he devotes his life to keeping her legacy alive by helping others.
I want to give back. Like, I'm alive, potentially, for a greater purpose.
In his Thousand Oaks home, Marcus Grimmie seeks solace in his little sister Christina's bedroom. When she was alive, it's here they jammed together, played video games, and shared dreams.
She wanted to have an album. She wanted a song on the radio. She really wanted a Grammy.
Dreams the entire Grimmie family rallied around.
Mom, you're making noise.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, tell me when you're done recording. I need to do my laundry.
Marcus and his folks, Bud and Tina, agreed to leave all behind in New Jersey to make the big move to California to support Christina's exploding career in music.
My mom has cancer, my dad works 2 jobs, and all of a sudden, people on the internet are now talking about my sister and her singing.
Christina blew up on YouTube with hundreds of thousands of fans loving her sultry voice and edgy sound.
She was the highest subscribed female vocalist on YouTube, and it was just such an honor for her.
There were many star-making moments, like opening for Selena Gomez.
I want to introduce this first person who's going to perform for you guys. Her name is Christina Grimmie, and we found her on YouTube, and she's amazing.
And then the game changer, NBC's The Voice.
It's national television with huge artists. So I'm like, yeah, this is huge that they're taking notice on her.
On The Voice, Christina finished 3rd, opening endless doors.
Such stereotypical lies.
Please come to the show if you live near Orlando, Florida.
I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love.
And then tragedy. After a concert in Orlando, in a customary meet and greet with fans, a shooter walked right up to Christina and shot her at point-blank range.
It just sounded like almost like a fake gun, just a loud pop, and Christina's just on the ground.
Marcus jumped into action, wrestled the gunman, but could not save his little sister.
Her brother's a hero for saving and stopping him, for not hurting anyone else.
You know, it's hard to think of it as a hero when the one person that I truly wanted to save there, even way over myself, is not here anymore.
And there was more violence to come. The very next night, in the same city of Orlando, just down the street, the Pulse shooting massacre that slaughtered 49 people. At a vigil for Christina dealing with his own grief, Marcus pleaded with all not to forget his sister or the Pulse victims and their grieving families.
Now all the headlines were still about the shooter. People have already forgot that these are human beings that have been killed.
It would not be the last time Marcus would be confronted with gun violence hitting so close to home.
We are following breaking news out of Southern California. At least 11 people shot inside of a nightclub.
The borderline shooting not far from his house took the lives of innocent victims.
It triggers some pretty bad memories, but it's like more so, wow, someone else right now is going through what I went through.
And Marcus would go through a lot. 2 years after losing his sister, breast cancer would take his mom, leaving her son and husband Bud without the 2 most beloved women in their lives.
The whole world is just rocked, turned upside down, and all of Christina's fans just rushing in to help us. They were the sparks, I think, to make us realize that we wanted to pay it forward and help others too.
So both now dedicate themselves to building the Christina Grimmie Foundation to help others cope with their losses. They understand more than any senseless losses that shatter lives year after year. The recent Monterey Park massacre once more hit too close to home.
We think right away to the families, like the lives that are lost and the families that are affected by it. And are they going to be okay this week? Are they going to be okay next month? Are they going to be okay in 6 months? Because that's the truth of the situation. It's so easy to get caught up in anger and sadness, and everyone gets so frustrated with gun laws and mental health and how could this keep happening? But where we come in is, well, we feel for the families that are affected, that now their lives are forever changed. But then when the cameras go away and the lights fade out, it's like now they're left alone with the loss. That's when I think people realize they kind of need the help more. And that's one of our specialties too, is to stay in touch with the advocates on the case and to try and help them, because you know what it does to a community, but now what it does to the individual as well. So it's never easy to hear about it. And unfortunately, we hear about it quite a bit. But we have a great team, not just our foundation, but other nonprofits that we work with. So there's a lot of great people that come out and just make sure that these families that are affected get the assistance that they need.
Keeping his sister's legacy alive by helping other victims of gun violence. Marcus Grimmie, he is the subject of today's LA Stories Revisited.
Hello, everyone. I'm Giselle Fernandez. Welcome to yet another edition of LA Stories. We are in the Thousand Oaks home of Marcus Grimmie, the beloved brother of Christina Grimmie. And we're here to catch up with you and the family and the foundation. You're not only keeping her legacy of music alive, but a legacy of heart and compassion and all she cared about. Thank you for taking the time to share your story with us.
Well, I'm extremely honored that you guys would even consider letting me speak about my mom and sister and what we're doing with the foundation. So thank you.
Oh, no, it's our honor. Take me back to New Jersey. She's singing away, and her friend Lauren comes and says, you should put your voice on YouTube.
It's kind of a blur thinking about it. Was just like, you're thinking like, hey, you put up this one song, just kind of, it skyrocketed. Just started, the views started going 100,000.
Were you guys blown away?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. We're just like, it's crazy.
And then one day, you got some email. Selena Gomez's stepdad is trying to reach you.
I called my dad, and he's like, no way. And it really changed our lives.
And then, of course, The Voice.
I remember she called me. She's like, nobody turned around. And I was like, nah. And she's like, I'm just kidding. They all turned around. And she just like lost. She couldn't even hold it for more than 2 seconds.
And did you all think at that moment the sky was the limit?
I've personally always thought that with her, but it's national television with huge artists. So I'm like, yeah, this is huge that they're taking notice in her.
And her relationship with Adam was a very powerful relationship for her.
She felt like he really looked out for her.
And then what happened after The Voice? She had, all this fame, a bigger fan base.
So it was just crazy. We toured with Rachel Platt in early 2016. She loved living in the moment. Obviously, she wanted to have an album. She wanted a song on the radio. She really wanted a Grammy.
That saying, life is what happens to you after you make your plans, that must resonate with you.
Yeah, very much so.
When we come back, the night Marcus Grimmie's life changed forever. After another performance, his sister Christina was greeting fans when shots rang out. Heartache, he says, he never thought would happen to him or his family. We are back with Marcus Grimmie, brother, best friend, and tour manager of slain singer and YouTube sensation Christina Grimmie. On that tragic night that changed his life forever. Can you take me back to that night, what you remember most before everything happened?
I'm sorry, I honestly don't think about it too much, but we had such a good day together. It was just so fun. Man, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time, Marcus. I so get it. So she had a powerful performance on stage.
Yeah, it was just great, just so goofy. Just another day like any other day.
She gets off the stage, you go to sign your albums and greet the fans. Where are you in this whole mix?
Right next to her.
And what do you remember happening?
So it's just a routine meet and greet. People of all walks of life, primarily younger girls, but all walks of life come and just take pictures and...
Feels safe, it feels like there's no need for security.
Yeah, and there was some security like around-ish, so, but you know, and...
Furthest thing from your mind.
Oh yeah, furthest thing. I mean, we've done this hundreds of times. What Christina would do, she'd always just like open up her arms for a hug. That was her thing. The next thing you know, a couple shots go off.
And then you spring into action.
It just sounded like almost like a fake gun, just a loud pop, and Christina's just on the ground. I didn't see fall, I didn't hear her scream. So I just kind of think, like, is this just some sick joke? What's going on? And then immediately just realized he's just standing there with a gun in his hand. So I just rushed him immediately. This was like a 1 second, like what? And I'm just screaming, like cursing and wrestling with him. And I will eventually get the gun away from him. So I thought at the time, I got a gun away from him. We wrestled to the floor. He gets up quickly, and he has a gun in his hand. And I'm thinking, I got the gun. So now my thoughts is like, okay, whatever, like I'm gone, this is it. Then he backs up against the wall, and he shoots himself in the head.
And you saw everything?
Yeah. And so apparently there were 2 guns, he brought 2.
So you just see your sister be shot, and you've watched this shooter kill himself. Mm-hmm. How do you process that?
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you if I find out. But it's just one of those, I know it happened. I know it's not fake.
Her brother's a hero for saving and stopping him, for not hurting anyone else.
Very heroic actions by MARTYR Grimmie.
The 15 or so people who were around that day said you saved their lives because when you basically tackled him, you stopped a rampage. How do you feel about that?
I just reacted like I believe any brother would react. And I didn't save my sister. You know, it's hard to think of it as a hero when the one person that I truly wanted to save there, even way over myself, is not here anymore. So that's the worst part. I know she didn't suffer. And I'm thankful I don't have to worry about going to court hearings and such for this guy.
You've made it a point to say you never want to talk about the shooter, you don't want to talk about the politics.
When you're talking about victims who lost someone, you don't want to be seeing stuff about the shooter. I'm just mourning the loss of my dead sister now.
Your father happened to call you at a very integral time, didn't he?
Yeah, it's the other, definitely the second hardest part of that night, but it sticks with me more than anything.
Must have been one of the hardest phone calls you've ever had.
Yeah, to this day it is. I just said, Dad, Christina was shot. And I said, she is not with us anymore. He was just, what? No, like, you know, just, that's what made it so hard is he's a stoic person. So seeing him like lose it, it's just made it a lot harder.
No one thinks it's going to happen to them. They always think it happens to the other person, right?
No, never once.
The very next night after your sister was murdered, the Pulse shooting happened. And you took that opportunity to talk about the victims of the Pulse shooting, whose names were not even mentioned. Why was that important to you in your darkest hour?
All the headlines were still about the shooter. And then it was about gun laws. And then all of a sudden, it's just like people already forgot that these are human beings that have been killed. You have to be strong for my sister, for each other, for other people now. Our purpose is like a singular, like there's a reason, I think is what's keeping us rooted. This might have happened for a reason, and if it did, I believe what we're doing is we're on the right path.
Still to come, Marcus and his dad forge a deep bond to keep Christina's legacy alive through her music and the Christina Grimmie Foundation.
We are back with Marcus Grimmie, the brother of Christina Grimmie, who is devoting his life to keeping his sister's legacy alive by helping others through a foundation in her name.
You created a foundation to keep a legacy alive. How healing has that been to help you cope with everything?
I think partly it is for a legacy for Christina, that her name is remembered. And even more importantly than that, it's about helping other families.
So the foundation that you created is to support families who have been impacted by gun violence as you have been.
Correct.
And you lost your mom just this past year.
Yes.
to breast cancer after a lifelong battle with breast cancer. So you know really firsthand, not just the tragedy of your sister, but then the loss of your mom. When other families come and say, how did you get through this? What do you tell them?
There's no right way about this except to try and keep moving forward.
So take me into the foundation.
So the way we have it set up is we work directly with victim services from the district attorney's office. I'll use the borderline victims for a perfect example.
Right in your own backyard.
Yeah, it triggers some pretty bad memories, but it's like more so, wow, someone else right now is going through what I went through. These families are now just buried under trauma and tragedy, and now the bills start to rack up, and then they might have some mental health issues to deal with, and it's like the list goes on. We were able to help immediately. Within 48 hours, maybe even a little sooner, 48 to 72 hours, we can get the help. Almost think of like a bat signal, where whenever anybody suffers a loss due to homicide, that victim services just know, hey, we can get them, that they know our immediate needs will be met for at least the first 3 months. And that is, I would say it's a pretty good goal and a realistic goal.
What do you think your sister would think about that?
I think she thinks it's very possible. She's had such a great connection with other people, especially her friends. And they still to this day support her music and now support the foundation, which in turn is supporting other people, which is great.
How healing is it for you to be able to not focus on the events that happened and this foundation?
It's been extremely healing, I would say, cathartic in nature by just the fact that we can kind of work with other people. And I want to give back, like I'm alive potentially for a greater purpose. I want to do the best I can with my life.
How proud of you are you of your son?
Oh, wow, that's off the charts, I guess. Yeah, he's an amazing young man. I always tell Marcus, you know, you did it well, both of you. And now I feel like I have to bring it up a notch because of the way Christina and Marcus have handled themselves.
Proud of them both.
Yes. Incredibly proud.
You're used to being behind the scenes, and your sister was in the forefront.
Yeah, I know it's really hard to tell right now. No, yeah, it's
No, it is hard to tell. You're doing great. And I've become a really impressive spokesperson for your sister's legacy and the foundation.
That means a whole lot. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And it must be an amazing sense of purpose now to keep your sister's legacy alive. Also, her music alive. Tell me how that is taking shape.
It's overwhelmingly positive, which is really all we can ask for. She was an artist, and she had a lot of great songs, and a lot of the fans want to hear it.
Hold your head up high, even through your darkest night. Everything that you do, I will be here for you.
So you're releasing songs that had not yet been released.
Yes.
We're gonna rule the world, take it over in one night. Strong like a million stars, guided by the light.
I could go on and on about how her fans have really just impacted and really kept me afloat.
And they've kept her alive.
And they're still keeping her alive.
They embody support, like the personification of like, I don't really use social media too much, but when I'm on Instagram, I can just scroll through and I follow hundreds of fan accounts that are still active and posting photos of like, oh, that was the European tour. Oh, that was us in the Philippines. It always brings a smile to my face. And we're the first year and a half, 2 years, it was hard to see all of it, but when I could, it helped. Now it's just like, wow, like I'm just so blessed. They're still posting things of her. Christina touched so many lives that almost 7 years after her passing, people still care about her as the artist and the person she was. So that goes to just kind of show what kind of person she was.
Your mom, she said, told her, keep God first. And she even had on her hand the same tattoo that you have, which is, all is vanity.
Yep, vanity, oh vanity. Yep, she loved that passage. Who knew what crazy foreshadowing what that was, where it's like she just didn't live for herself. She lived for God. She lived for others. And I think that was always a reminder to say all this, everything around, it's temporary and it's all vanity. And most people that knew her knew that she lived that way. And that's one of the coolest parts about her. She was a genuine human being.
So Marcus, you carry the legacy now for Christina and her immense talent and her foundation and that of your mom's. What do you want to accomplish in your life moving forward?
To help other people, it means the most. And so far, the foundation has been a great way to just be like, hey, look, I want to give back. Like, I'm alive potentially for a greater purpose. And then number two is I love music. It was always something that I was so honored to be behind the scenes for my sister, and I don't like the spotlight at all. So that's why I decided to be in a band, so I can just be a guitar player in the background and just get to just play music, hopefully for the rest of my life.
You actually created a video where you are playing with her.
It meant so much to me to play the acoustic guitar in one of her songs that we released. It was really great. It feels like we're playing music together, and that's one of my favorite things.
How does your faith get you through this? When all else falls away.
I think it all does fall back on faith. Me and my dad have gotten really close. We were always pretty close, but never this close. And it's really cool to be able to have that time with my dad and see his passion for the foundation and for helping others. It's definitely #1 in my book.
Marcus Grimmie, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing
Sal.
your story and your foundation with us, and your sister's beautiful legacy and that of your mom's.
I'm so honored.
No,
Thank you.
We're honored. Thank you so very much. It's going to help a lot of people understand what families go through when the headlines pass away. So thank you so much. And thank you again for joining us. This is another edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez, and we will see you next time.